and welcome to Tech to Tech presented by KaiZen, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. This session has been pre-recorded and will include additional FAQs related to this specific topic at the end of the presentation. We hope it is 15 minutes well spent. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KaiZen's own Joe McChesney.
Thank you for joining our Tech to Tech session today. As part of our process control and optimization series, my topic for today discusses how to lower your operational cost for vapor degreasing. And when using today's solvents, it's important to capture every drop. In regard to process control, if you're using a vapor degreaser to clean your parts, you know an efficient degreasing process requires clean solvent. And part of that criteria is that new solvent must be added on a regular basis, periodic maintenance must be performed, and hazardous waste also must be disposed of as the soils are removed from the degreasing systems. All of this adds up to operational cost. Traditional solvents continue to be under heavy scrutiny by internal EH&S departments in today's world. Why? Because reviews, regulation changes, and possible phase out by the EPA and OSHA are happening now. A lot of traditional solvents, older generation solvents, are being severely restricted or phased out. And there's no surprise with recent cost increase. All this is a factor of the regulations. Being solvent conservative means being environmentally responsible, and we all want that in today's world. Why the rising cost of solvent today? Well, number one, there's a global shortage of raw materials. A lot of the components used in blending the solvents come from overseas. And with that, there is a shortage of raw materials that are available in today's world. Logistic challenges add to it. When you ship parts or components from overseas, you deal with the freight, you deal with the time, you deal with all the transport issues, and also it's being used in other sources. Environmental impact is huge. EPA TASCA is basically formulating new rules and regulations regarding a lot of the older generation solvents. And these solvents are being phased out or in danger of that. And not only that, but also the manufacturer of these solvents are slowly deteriorating. There are only one or two companies in the United States that are still making TCE, for example. And with the raw materials phase out, it's getting harder and harder basically to find materials to provide these, and the cost of that is increasing. So don't waste reusable solvent. As you know, if you're operating a vapor degreaser, as parts are degreased, the soil volume increases over time. It grows like a weed inside the machine. To maintain the solvent purity, it's necessary to remove these contaminants. Some users simply replace the bath when the new solvent is loaded. This is not efficient because this increases your operational cost and interrupts the cleaning process. So, how do you reduce your operational cost as well as your solvent consumption? In house recycling saves. It saves new solvent purchases, it reduces maintenance downtime, it reduces your hazardous waste disposal, and it decreases the process time required for the paperwork to haul your waste off. It also decreases the environmental impact of having to dispose of these waste. If you're solvent cleaning by choice or necessity, the future solvent degreasing is viable and cost effective when using a solvent recycling system. Recycling removes soils from the bath, which improves solvent purity to enhance parts cleanliness levels. That's a big plus for in today's world. Recycling also extends the bath life and condenses the soils, thus reducing operational cost and waste disposal. And we're all looking for that. Recycling offsets the higher cost of today's solvent, and that's the gist of my presentation. So, how does recycling systems work? A typical capture system is connected, as shown on the schematic, to a standard degreaser. The boil sump in the degreaser, which is an orange colored on your right, deplects the dirty soils that's being removed from your parts. The dirty solvent is automatically transferred to the capture based on the system's operation and pulling that dirty solvent in to be purified. The soils are separated from the solvent and retained in the capture vessel. And how are they separated? The pure clean solvent is boiled off or vaporized. Only the solvent will leave. The soils remain in the bottom of the system. The pure clean solvent migrates back in the green line that you see into the degreaser, which cleans up the rinse sump through dilution, and that overflows back into the boil sump. So you're getting a constant input of clean solvent back. Once the solvent is returned to the degreaser, it can be reused over and over and over again. The condensed waste that has been separated in the capture is automatically discharged for periodic disposal. This system is programmed that automatically will dump the waste into a container. No maintenance is required. No operators touch the dirty solvent or are involved in that part. If you look at a process control chart, look at this schematic, replacement of the solvent typically on a degreaser that's not equipped with a capture system. About every 6 weeks, they have to dump the solvent bath and refill with new solvent. And that basically equates to 12% soil loading. Heavier soil loading means less time between the intervals. So if you look at a standard capture system, it runs at about 98% efficiency. So at that point, you basically do not have to dump and refill your machines. Your soils are removed automatically and are consolidated for waste disposal. Typical results, if you look from the left, this is a standard system before the capture is installed. And if you look at the right, the after system, in less than 24 hours operation plus normal production going through the machine, you can see visually that the solvent is pure and clean. You can actually see down into the bottom of the tank and see the work rest and the heaters. The capture system automatically separates the soils from the processed solvent on a continuous basis, thus creating a constant and consistent solvent purity level. Reclaiming solvent makes a lot of sense in today's world. Recycling reduces the overall solvent usage and cost on a yearly basis. The amount of good reusable solvent that would normally be entrained in a contaminated solvent bath may range from 50 to 75%. It actually could be higher in some cases. This is what you do not want to throw away. Companies can lower the entrained amount to expected levels of 5% or less by recycling the solvent in a capture system. Recycling reduces disposal cost, the hazardous waste transport cost, the reporting, taxes, and permits that's involved with using solvent in today's world. The benefits of recycling are many. Again, reduced downtime for maintenance. The capture system automatically removes the soils from the system, and only required maintenance is performed during a periodic basis. It basically separates and condenses the waste volume. So you're not throwing away good solvent, you only dispose of the waste that's involved. Again, it reduces the good solvent disposal, as stated above. It reduces new solvent purchases and lowers the environmental impact. All of these are pluses in today's world, and especially with the cost of the solvent. No maintenance is required for the system until the waste container has reached a preset capacity of 80% full. Then it will automatically signal your operators or maintenance personnel that the system needs to be cleaned, maintained, and put back in service. All this goes by very quickly. In today's world, 3 R's: recycle, reduce, and reuse. Because with today's supply chain challenges and price escalation, capturing every drop of solvent is more important than ever. So, with this subject being discussed, the frequently asked questions are: will this unit work on any brand degreaser? And the answer is yes, it pretty much work with a standard degreaser, open top degreaser. It's not made for vacuum systems, but most open top degreasers of limited volume, it will work fine on. Will the system work with a variety of solvents? And the answer is yes again. It's not designed for flammable solvents, but it will work fine on most traditional degreasing solvents, either HFCs, halogenated solvents, HFOs, etc. What size degreaser is the capture best suited for? Typically, we recommend less than 50 gallons capacity in a machine. If you have a larger size degreaser, you may need a larger size unit, or you may need multiple units to keep up with the incoming soil loading. What is the average solvent recycle turnover rate per hour? Standard captures are rated at 1.5 gallons per hour nominal turnover rate. Most degreasers do not have 1.5 gallons per hour of soil loading going into the system. What utilities are required to operate this system? There is no cooling water required. The only utilities required are 120 volts AC at 20 amps and compressed air to operate the transfer pump. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to William.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you all for watching this Tech to Tech session. If you'd like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local Kaizen regional manager or send an email to tech at kaizen.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. Do you want to have exclusive access to future content sent directly to your inbox, or do you know someone who would benefit from these sessions? If the answer is yes, just go to tech by kaizen.com, fill out the subscription form. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.